Okay, you see now price has tapped into the market, into the supply zone. Let's see. Okay, hello, you are welcome. I hope you can hear me. Now we want to look at our first case study 1, about this zone from zone price action strategy. And like we studied on the previous video, we know that this is selling market because as from the skeletal representation, this drawing shows that price was coming down, went up again, formed a low, a high was formed, came back down, went up again, formed a low, just like that. Because the first low is broken, telling us that this is a selling market. The second low is broken, telling us that this is a selling market. Then we can now anticipate what price will do by the time it also went up again and then continue to sell. So our major focus on this type of structure, like we learned already, is that the first zone that made this price to come back down, then if it give us another zone again, so we can now call this what? Zone 1 produce zone 2. Then we want zone 2 to give us the price action to drive price downward. Okay, so let's see how we can apply this on the real chart. Okay, so this on the real chart. We want to have a bar replay for me to be able to show you this effectively. You know what I usually do? I do top-down analysis on all of my trade. I check the chart on the weekly, I check it on the daily, and I also check on the 4-hour. So if I see an entry on the daily or the 4-hour, I can enter the trade. But my major time frame from entry trade is usually on the 4-hour. Okay, now in this scenario, this is a market has already played out, but I want to use it as an example for us. We can identify in this we can identify a low point can be identified. Let's put that there. This is a low. Now this is another high. Yes. Now we know that this is a buy market, right? A buy market because there's a low here, there's a previous high point, and then price took out that high, give us a high there, a low. So the only time this is a buy market, right? The only time this will now become a selling market is when price now take out this low point. So let's see what price will do if price will take out that low point. Okay, we can now see that price has taken out this low point. Now let me draw a line there. Now this is what we call a change in direction. You know, if we want to do a smart money concept, if this is a smart money concept, we can say this is a change of character, whereby price has given us a change in direction from buying market. Now we are going to be looking for selling market, and we can see that when this happened, when this change in direction happened, when this low point is taken out, what the price do? Price already form a supply zone at the top. So with this supply zone, we can draw it out. Let's mark it out. This is supply zone, right? So I usually mark it as an OB, day OB, like that's what we call day order blocks. Probably when you want to use those terminology from smart money concept. But in this situation, let's just be using the above here is not going to be day supply zone, while this is our low point that will be taken out. Now in this scenario, now what we want price to do is that we want price to come into this day supply zone and continue to sell. All right, so this is our new low. This is our new low now. But the situation here is this: we now have two low, first low, second low. we have only one high point. Now usually if you are to enter trade, if you want to enter the trade in this situation, let's say you want to enter this trade to sell this market. If you want to sell this market and you target your 3 point, that's the 3.3, target your risk to reward of theory arrow. The only issue here is this, that you don't have any other confirmation to show that, to boost your confidence that this particular supply zone is going to work out. Because you don't have that confirmation already, what do? That is why we now want to use ZFZ, which is zone from zone. Okay, now we have to be patient and see what this trade is going to give us. So we are not going to be placing a trade there, because if we just want to sell in this place, or because we see that price has changed direction, this trade might fail. Price can go inside this supply zone, come back down a little bit, and then fail it. So to improve our probability of the trade going in our direction, that's why we are applying this particular strategy, price action strategy of zone from zone. Okay, so we want price to move into this zone, take out this low point, then give us another value zone there. We can now say that yes, that's our what, that's our, by then our this will be valid, the strategy we are looking for will be valid. So without much talking, let's go into it. Let's play it out and see what price will do. Okay, you can see what price did here. Price has taken out this low again, the second low I will now be taking out. So price took out the first low 2 has been taken out. Then when price did that, we can look at the top again, that price give us another supply zone. Okay, another supply zone that is also valid. And how do we know our supply zone is valid? Because from previous videos I've made, we can see that there's a fair value gap there. This is a zone that has not been tapped into already. So all those things is very easy to understand if you have watched my previous videos. So this is a very valid supply zone. So this is zone 1 has produced zone 2. And how do we know zone 2 is valid? Because it's still there's a fair value gap there. The zone has not been tapped already. So now that we have this is our second high point there. That's our second high point. Then we can now place our sell limit in this place. Okay, we'll place our sell limit like I usually do. I target my 1 to 3 risk to reward. Okay, so let's play this chart out and see how it will go. Okay, you see now price has tapped into the market, into the supply zone. Let's see. Okay, we can see that this is a very beautiful trade, because price went into this supply zone, tap into our sell limit, and then give us our what, 1 to 3 risk to reward. So this is just how you apply this strategy. It's very easy. All you have to do is just to identify your valid supply zone. Okay, then supply zone 1, you have identified it. Price took out the previous low point, then when price to come into it, second leg out, then price can come into this zone 2, and then we are taking the trade from zone 2, and we usually take that using sell limit. Okay, so when you have this, now you can now place the trade that targeting just 1 to 3 raised to the world. So I hope the explanation is very easy to understand. The only work you have to be doing here is, when you have identified the zones, zone 1, you have to be patient for zone 2 to give us the signal, and then when you have a signal on zone 2, you can now enter the trade accordingly. So I hope you understand this very well, and that is just how you can trade this particular strategy of zone from zone. is a price action strategy, and you can see this formation on the weekly, on the daily, and on the 4 hour. But I usually enter the trade if I see it on the daily. I'm mostly focused on the 4 hour time frame. I hope you understand. So that is it for this class. Thank you.